Are our phones saving the planet or are they destroying it? It's a question that's way more complicated than it sounds. Today, we're going to dig into some fascinating research that looks at the link between Asia's massive tech boom and its energy use. And let me tell you, the answer is probably not what you'd expect. So, right at the heart of all this is a real paradox. On one hand, going digital feels like a huge win for energy efficiency, right? But on the other hand, all of our digital habits, the streaming, the scrolling, the endless devices, they have a very real and very large physical footprint. Just think about the device you're probably watching this on right now. Is it a hero, a tool that saves energy because you can work from home or shop online instead of driving? Or is it kind of the villain, connected to a global network of power-hungry data centers and creating tons of e-waste? It's a serious debate. And this slide really breaks down those two sides of the argument. You've got the efficiency booster theory, which says, hey, all this smart tech and remote work is great. It means less travel and smarter use of our resources. But then you have the energy hog argument, which points out that making all our gadgets, running those massive server farms 24/7, and dealing with all the old tech we throw away, well, it might actually use way more energy than we're saving. And this isn't just some theoretical puzzle. We're talking about Asia here, a region that drives so much of the global economy and consumes nearly half of the world's energy. And a lot of that still comes from fossil fuels. So for them, figuring this out has huge consequences for a sustainable future. So, to get past all the speculation, researchers decided it was time to find some hard evidence. They went on a massive data dive to see what was actually happening across the continent. And when I say massive, I mean it. They pulled together an enormous amount of data to find a real statistical link between the explosion of digital tech and how energy was being used in all these different Asian economies. So here's a quick look at the scope. They looked at 20 different countries over a 22-year period, from 2000 to 2021, basically the exact time when Asia's digital revolution was in full swing. The goal was pretty simple: settle the debate once and for all with cold, hard numbers. All right, so after all that digging through all that data, what did they actually find? Well, this is where it gets really surprising. Despite the very real energy costs of our devices and those giant data centers, the overall net effect of digitalization, it actually pointed in the opposite direction of what many people feared. And there it is, the big takeaway. The study found that, generally speaking, more digital connectivity was actually linked to less energy consumption. It seems the efficiency gains from doing things online were actually winning out. And this wasn't just a fluke either. It didn't matter if they looked at the number of internet users or the number of mobile phone subscriptions. The result held true. In the long run, more tech seemed to mean less energy use. But, like any good detective story, this one has some really fascinating twists. See, this trend wasn't universal. And if you look at the exceptions, the places where this didn't happen, that's where you learn some of the most important lessons. In a few key countries, the data showed no real energy savings at all. And in one case, the effect was completely flipped on its head. The reasons why tell us a whole lot about what it really takes for digitalization to be a force for sustainability. First up, the digital divide. Just look at these numbers. In massive countries like India, the Philippines, and China, a huge percentage of the population still lives in rural areas, and getting them connected is a colossal challenge. So what you have is a situation where the big cities might be hyper-connected, but the overall national energy-saving effects are held back because a huge chunk of the population just isn't part of that digital economy yet. You can't save energy with e-services if you don't have reliable internet access to begin with. Okay, so the next exception is the early adopters. We're talking about places like South Korea and Singapore. These countries were so far ahead of the curve that by the year 2000, when the study's data starts, they were already super digitalized. So, in a way, they were victims of their own success. Their biggest energy efficiency gains from going digital probably happened back in the 90s. So, during the study period, their digital adoption rates were already hitting a ceiling, near 100%, which means the data just couldn't pick up a significant change. And then you have the most startling exception of all, Laos. Just look at this chart. In Laos, having more internet users led to a huge jump in electricity use, over 6%. It's the complete opposite of the general trend. And this really shows that just throwing more technology at a problem isn't a magic fix. If you have challenges like high costs for internet and low digital literacy, then adding more tech can simply mean,
Well, plugging in more stuff and using more power.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? What's the playbook for getting this right? Well, the research offers some really clear, practical solutions for policymakers.
The path forward really seems to boil down to three key things. First, governments have got to invest in bridging that digital divide. Getting high-speed internet out to rural areas is crucial. Second, things like digital free trade zones can attract investment and speed up innovation. And third, and this is so important, we need to help developing nations build their digital economies with energy efficiency baked in from day one, letting them leapfrog the mistakes others made.
And that leaves us with this final critical question. Right now, incredibly powerful new technologies like 5G and generative AI are rolling out. They promise amazing efficiencies, but they also have huge energy appetites. So, will Asia manage to use them to keep this surprising energy-saving trend going? Or will the massive power demands of this next digital wave make countries like Laos the new normal? That's a future that is still being written. Thanks for joining me.